Hello everyone, Phil here and welcome to another mini review. Today we're going to be talking about the Eclipse DLC pack for Call of Duty Black Ops 3 on the next-gen consoles and PC. This is the second of 4 upcoming DLC packs, which features, of course, a new 4-player zombie cooperative map, as well as 4 new multiplayer maps, so let's take a look. The zombie cooperative map gets an Asian flair this time, being called Zetsubu no Shima. In this case, our 4 longtime survivors, including Richthofen and the gang, crash land on a tropical island. It's up to them to survive wave after wave of zombie hordes in this lush tropical environment, featuring locations such as an above-ground medical research facility and a secret underground lab. As usual, you're going to be doing some of the common things from these zombie survival maps, including finding a way to turn on the power and enable the perk machines to give you different methods to survive the zombie hordes. In this map, it's a little bit different because rather than just trying to open doors and find a switch, you actually have to find water sources, which you then pour into machines, which will then enable the generator to work and turn on all of the electricity in the map. Also, you can use this water to plant seeds, which then each round will grow a little bit more if you water them, and eventually turn into various different things. As we were playing, we discovered that they could become some pretty cool traps that would hold zombies and monsters in place, allowing us to then go ahead and explore the rest of the map, rather than having that enemy expire or constantly be chasing us as we investigated. Enemies this time around include your standard garden variety zombie, but every few waves you'll be facing these pretty cool red spiders that are pretty fast and nimble, jump around the map spewing their webs. Now, one of the unique things about the spiders is that they have the ability to actually block off different paths. They can actually create artificial walls with their web that you have to then cut down with a knife, and it takes a little bit of time to do so. It can create some interesting choke points if you're already on the runs from some other enemies. In addition, these spiders can also web up the machines, causing you to have to remove the webs and again not be able to use them right away, so it's kind of an interesting mechanic. Every few waves, you'll face off against the rare monster, which this time around is some kind of odd plant mutation. It's got these glowing orange patches on its body, which are its obvious weak points, and I kept comparing it to a Resident Evil boss, which has the glowing weak points that you have to focus your fire on in order to kill. It is a little generic, and it's kind of been there, done that. I'm surprised that this is the enemy that they put into this DLC, but that's what you get. Outside of just the plain vanilla survival, you've of course got your Easter eggs, of which there are a lot this time around. So, spoiler alert to those of you who don't want to be spoiled, here's the deal on the Easter eggs in the new zombie map. First of all, there are skulls, which you will find on an altar. When you grab these skulls, you take them to 4 smaller altars throughout the map and place them down. This creates a gauntlet of instantly spawning zombies to appear, which you must hold off for a certain amount of time until the skull charges with the souls of the deceased monsters. Then that skull can be placed back on the altar. Once all 4 skulls are charged, you will get a super special weapon that allows you to group kill zombies by possessing them or mesmerize them so that they kind of stand still if you need to herd them for any particular reason. It's a pretty unique weapon, it auto recharges over time, and it's a pretty neat new addition to the map. In addition to that, there are 3 unique constructibles that you can find by locating random items throughout the map. The first is a zombie shield, very similar to the added defensive shields that have been in previous zombie co-op maps. One is a gas mask that makes you immune to spore toxin, which applies itself when you accidentally shoot one of the spores that respawn and regenerate between rounds on the walls of the map. And finally is a unique gun, which has 2 purposes. First, it makes zombies explode, and second, it actually opens up some secret rooms on the map that are covered in glowing spider webs. How do you get the gun? Well, it's pretty complicated. You've got to find a unique plant hidden on the map. You've actually got to lure a spider into a cage, then raise the cage and harvest its blood, and then around round 10, you have to just repeatedly kill zombies until one finally randomly will drop a glowing vial of liquid. You combine all those things in a machine in the bottom floor of the secret lab to create this gun. The cool thing about this is that it opens up a secret path into a huge hidden cave system, leading to a gigantic spider boss. It's epic, and it actually took us 2 to 3 rounds to kill this thing because it was so powerful, but when you do, you get a unique perk called Widow's Wine, which allows you to absorb hits from zombies. Those zombies then immediately take damage and get wrapped up in a web so that you don't die. It's excellent, and it really saved my butt during this DLC and allowed me to survive when I otherwise probably would have been downed. It's probably one of the best perks ever in a zombie survival map, so I strongly recommend you take the time to do it. Now, there is one final leg of the Easter egg which myself and my co-op partners could not complete, You have to go back to that skull altar, and each individual character will have 3 completely different challenges that they need to perform in order to power up a column. When you complete a challenge, you'll get a unique reward. Sometimes it's max ammo, sometimes it's a unique weapon that spawns at the altar. The final one is a perk, and I wish I could tell you what it is, but unfortunately by the time I had spawned it, I already had 4 other perks, and I was unable to pick it up and figure out what the heck it did. So, the thing is, these challenges are different for each of the 4 characters. For who I was playing, I had to kill 20 zombies while underwater, and I actually found the best place to do this was back at the very beginning of the map, where there's a lake, and after 2 or 3 waves of kind of luring zombies into the lake, I was able to kill them from underneath and completed that perk. There's a lot of other ones, including killing spiders using the spore toxin. If you shoot a toxin near spiders, they'll kind of run towards it and instantly explode, and that is a pretty challenging one because there's only spiders every few rounds, so if you don't do it relatively early in the early rounds of the DLC, it's going to be much, much harder. Sadly, there were a few of these challenges we just couldn't figure out. For example, one of them was to have to eat a unique fruit that grew from a plant. Now, we didn't figure out how to make the plants grow different fruits. We did know that there were 3 different colors of water on the map, green, blue, and purple, and each one probably had a different effect when you watered a plant. Unfortunately, we played for over 3 hours and just couldn't figure this out. I'm sure within a couple days, people will have 100% figured out how to do all of these challenges and get to the final leg of the Easter egg. But the bottom line is, this new zombie map is very fun. And in fact, I'll even say this, it's probably one of the easiest zombie maps that I've played on because it's more opened up. Yes, there are internal areas with more narrow corridors that make it tougher to fight, but if you stay in one of the more open areas, as I did for several rounds, and just cover a couple different directions the enemies can come from, this actually becomes a pretty easy map to survive on. In fact, for the first time ever in all the years that we've done zombie co-op, we actually made it to round 28 on only our 2nd attempt on this map. And then unfortunately, I ran out of time to play, so we all kind of went into this one room and had a final stand and sacrificed ourselves because we just didn't have any more time. I wish that we had had more time. Maybe we could have figured out the complete Easter egg, but for what it is, this is an excellent new zombie survival map. You definitely should check it out, and I'm actually going to go as far to say I think it is slightly better than that last map in the Awakening DLC pack, just because the design of the map, even though it's a little bit smaller, ends up being a lot easier to kind of manage. It's a lot more fun to figure out all these different challenges for each individual character, and I really did enjoy playing it. Now for the new multiplayer maps, and I hate to say it, but kind of the polar opposite of the experience that I had with the new zombie cooperative map. These seem like they're pretty much just shoved in there to say that there's new maps. They don't really offer much in the realm of any kind of a new experience. All 4 of these multiplayer maps are pretty small, and what I mean by that is a lot smaller than the original maps that were at launch, as well as the maps that were offered in the last DLC pack called Awakening. This leads to really quick firefights of people going into choke points and just kind of repeatedly wailing on each other, and unfortunately, because the maps are so small, it kind of exposes the shortcomings of this game. People will be constantly abusing things such as the double jump slides and crazy ass shots out of nowhere that you know that they really did not precision aim, but in a lot of cases were just spamming. The shortcomings of Black Ops 3 multiplayer come through in these maps, unlike the ones of Awakening, where those maps were bigger, more complex, they had a lot of different levels to them, and it was more about strategy and finding a way to get to the objectives and stuff, and it's just not that way this time around. It really is just kind of super straightforward running and gunning, and people who already have learned the biggest, best loadouts and the best kill streaks are going to be throwing those drones and shit at you constantly, leading to completely one-sided matches that just aren't a lot of fun. I hate to say it, because it really, to me, is a dichotomy when it comes to Black Ops 3. I love the zombie cooperative maps. They are great. You can tell that the team that works on them are top-notch. They know their stuff. They know what they're doing, and they're giving you what you want. And then you go to play the multiplayer maps that came with those zombie maps, and you're kind of scratching your head saying, what did this add to the game? Pretty much nothing. These 4 maps this time around really feel like they were kind of almost rushed, and they don't need to be in the game at all. So, ultimately, I have to say that the Eclipse DLC for Black Ops 3 is kind of a mixed bag, and I'm almost kind of saying the same exact thing that I said about Awakening. if you're in this for the zombie co-op, you're gonna love this DLC because this new map is great. It offers some new things, it has a really cool Easter egg tree, and you're probably gonna have a blast playing with a few friends. But if you're looking for any kind of additional skill level or anything being added to the meta game of the multiplayer with these new multiplayer maps, you are going to be incredibly disappointed. If you're doing it for zombies, I recommend it. If you're doing it for the new multiplayer maps, I strongly advise against it. Don't give these guys any more money for these maps that are just kind of crammed in here with a multiplayer mode that isn't very good. These maps are actually far worse in my opinion than the ones from Awakening, and I am kind of disappointed because after playing for about 2 hours, I literally said I cannot play this anymore. I can't wait for the next DLC to play a new zombie map because I've had enough of this multiplayer crap. So ultimately, I have to pose this question. Why doesn't Treyarch and Activision offer these zombie survival maps as their own separate DLC bundle? Ultimately, these zombie maps don't play like and have absolutely nothing to do with the other multiplayer in Black Ops 3. So why were we forced to buy a season pass including all of those multiplayer maps if all you wanted was the zombie co-op? It almost seems like a way to force the consumer to buy something they don't want, knowing that maybe not many people would actually buy all the maps if it wasn't included like that. I think it's kind of an underhanded business practice. It's always been like this. It needs to be changed because I really don't like the multiplayer of this game, but I love the zombie co-op and I want to keep playing it in the future. That's it for my mini review of the Eclipse DLC for Black Ops 3. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and if you did, I'd ask that you please consider maybe giving it a like here on YouTube, as well as checking out the video description, where you can see a link directly to our raw gameplay from yesterday's zombie co-op, as well as check out some of the multiplayer gameplay that I did in the new multiplayer maps. In addition, there's an Amazon Associates link that you can use to help us out, and you can always check out my Patreon at patreon.com/DarksidePhil. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time with another mini review.